So welcome to the show. What is up, everybody? Welcome to The Week in Geek, the weekly geeky news show here at Checkpoint Church that airs every Thursday over on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch. No twigs today, I'm afraid. No twigs, Zando. As much as I would love to offer you twigs, I do not have them for you still today. This is a weekly geeky news show that we do here on Twitch live. If you want to be a part of the live show, just tune in with us whenever we have it going on. If you want to know more information about that, you could always click down on the links below. If you're watching on YouTube, everybody in the chat say hi, YouTube. And you can join our Discord where you'll always know whenever we go live with whatever's going on here in the show. Thanks for saying hi, YouTube, in the chat. So the way that we always start this news show is we make sure that we let people have a chance to warm up to the chat, get conversations started already, and we want to ask, what are you watching? What are you reading? What are you playing? What have you done in the past week or so? We also have a special level 2 guest joining us, Sneaky Pig, and so I'm going to let Sneaky start with an introduction and then sharing what have you watched, read, and played in the past week. So take it away, Sneaky.
Right, hey everybody. My name is Sneaky, or I go by Sneaky Pig, or I go by Mike. Either one of those. Excited to be here. I've been a part of Checkpoint for, holy cow, almost years. Hard to believe. I think, actually, maybe it's a tad over a year and a half. I think it's been about almost 20 months, so that's wild. But all right, so what have I been watching, playing, reading? I actually have not been watching much. I started back to school about 2-3 months ago, so my time for watching things has like severely shrunk. But in terms of playing, I have been playing Diablo 4 like the new season starts today, so I am slightly bummed that I am on vacation and not sitting at my computer. So, but yeah, I ended up playing Diablo 4 and getting prepped for the new season because in the new season, which they're kind of calling a side quest in a way, they are essentially, you have to start a new character. And so I was trying to get everything done on my main character because a lot of that stuff ports over to your new character. So pretty cool stuff, but I've been crushing that out. And that has literally overtaken my life. I think that's all I have been playing lately is Diablo. And then because I'm one of those people who read like 2 to 3 to 4 books at a time, I am just about done with Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson and getting ready to hop into the 4th book. I'm about to start A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab, the 3rd book in that series. And then I just picked up a couple of random books to toss on my Kindle to read while I was on the airplane. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, 2 things from yours stand out to me. First off, I do not understand Diablo. I've never played a Diablo, and I'm so curious about it, but I feel like anytime I see somebody playing it, it doesn't look like my steez. But I'm always like so mystified by the player experience because of just starting new characters. And like these new things come and they're like still doing Diablo Immortal and there's still things releasing there. And then there's like somehow they work microtransactions sometimes and sometimes they don't. And sometimes there's accessories and sometimes they're real ugly. And it's like I don't know what this game is or what it's actually about. And I'm just totally baffled by the experience entirely. But I'm very curious about it. And then the second thing that you said was, isn't it funny that we go on vacation as nerds and we actually like when we go on vacation, we are away from our like beloved hobbies because I can never bring what I really want to do on my vacations. Instead, I just have to relax and not play any video games. And it's such a bummer. It's hard. It's a weird nerdy life, but I'll read some in the chat real quick because we've had plenty of people tell us what they're watching, reading, and playing. Cam just rolled credits on Tears of the Kingdom, hopefully starting Jedi Survivor and playing FF16 on stream. I'm still waiting for those latest VODs, Cam. Mayfly playing Killer Frequency, watching Futurama, reading The Nightingale. Perry just finished crying after rolling credits on Rakuen, still getting through a Psalm for the Wild Built and watching FMA Brotherhood, only the best anime ever. And Zando is playing Gravity Circuit, finished last night. Now it's Achievement Hunting time and Street Fighter 6. David is playing Munchkin digitally, D&D, and is watching Strange New Worlds and is looking for something to read, actually. And my list, I am currently watching, believe it or not, I am not proud of this, but I am watching the Vending Machine anime and kind of low-key enjoying it. I was not expecting to enjoy it. I was going to watch it for the memes, and it's not bad. I'm in it for the world. I kind of want to play a management sim video game where I am a vending machine. It's more interesting than I expected it to be, and I hate isekai, but this is one that at least like knows that it's a joke and it's not trying to take itself super seriously, and it's fun. It's fun. It's an interesting rule set, and I can't believe I'm watching it. I'm actually watching a vending machine anime. I just finished reading Atomic Habits, and I'm the same way, you know this about me as well, Sneaky, that I'm reading so many books at a time. And so I typically just like pick like one for TWIG so that I don't just drone on about like, I'm reading all of these books every single week and you're going to hear about them every single week. And so I did finish Atomic Habits. That's my most recent like finished book. It was the second time I've read it, and I'm starting one called Chatter, about the voice in our head, and we'll see how that one goes. And I actually just finished the game Raincode, the Master Detective Archives Raincode, 100%ed it, did all the extra stuff and all the fun things. I love Kodaka, the dev behind Danganronpa, and so this was the latest Danganronpa-like. It definitely has a lot of overlays. It definitely was a slow start. I wasn't really sold on the first like 2 to 3 chapters, but by the time I got to chapter 5, I was so in it and absolutely love the story and cannot wait for DLC and more. And then I am waiting for Pikmin 4. So starting tomorrow, I will be playing nothing but Pikmin for like 2 weeks, and I cannot wait to get there. So again, that is our watch, read, play. If you are watching, reading, or playing anything and you didn't drop it in the chat, or if you're watching on YouTube and you want to drop it down below in the comments, let us know what is going on in your life. But we need to get into some news stories. So the first news story today, I'm actually going to let Sneaky take away.
All right, so what do we got going on Game Pass over the next month, or actually for the next couple weeks? So coming to anything cloud, console, and PC, but on Wednesday, or no, what is, I don't even, this is the problem, you go on vacation, you don't even know what day it is. So that would have been Tuesday. So July 18th, you got TLOU, The Cave, Tectonica. Yesterday, Maquette came out. Today, you've got Figment 2, Creed Valley, and The Wandering Village. Next week, you've got Serious Sam, Siberian Mayhem, Vemba, and Celeste. And also, I'm going to shout out maybe 30 Bats for doing Celeste on his last stream. It was a blast to watch him do that. And if you have not played Celeste, fantastic game. Definitely play it.
It cracks me up that I don't know if maybe 30 Bats has a Game Pass, but it's very funny that he like has been holding off on buying this game for like 3 years and then buys it the month before it comes out on Game.
All right, and then leaving Game Pass, you have Dreamscaper, Expeditions Rome, The Ascent, 2 Point Campus, and Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah, I can't believe Marvel's Avengers is gone. I think that is so wild. That is such a game that just like was an absolute like transient in and out experience. Nobody liked it. It didn't work. It sort of tried to pick up with new characters. They were like teasing Spider-Man for PlayStation, and it came to Game Pass and it just totally bombed. And now it's leaving. I can't believe it. It's such a weird experience, that entire game. And we'll see how it goes with the new Black Panther one that they're working on. Hopefully that goes much better. But yeah, any of those games stand out to you, Sneaky?
Honestly, no. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, so in all fairness and honesty, right now, I was actually just having this conversation with my brother the other night. I was talking about how like I'm waiting essentially, like I'm waiting time-wise, but also money-wise for Starfield and Spider-Man 2. And so I kind of had to set the rule for myself that I am not allowed to look at any other game until basically I need to finish Jedi Survivor. My backlog is massive. Diablo 4 has sucked in my life. So I basically said no more games until Starfield and Spider-Man come out. And then after that, like I almost have to cut myself off. Yeah, we have reached that point.
Those long-term AAA games just are an absolute time suck. There's so much into them and so much that you can get into them if you really want to take them for the time that they're worth. I think that if you're an indie gamer, such as myself, then TLOU and Venba is an interesting one. Venba we actually played on our demo last Monday, I think. And then you've already shouted out Celeste. So those are 3 pretty solid, hopefully Venba's solid. But at least TLOU and Celeste are 2 pretty solid indie games, I think worth people's time. I'm hearing good things about Tectonica. We'll see how it continues to go. And, you know, time will tell how all of these things go, but I'm excited to see what Game Pass brings. It's been a rough year for Game Pass, so I'm hopeful that this is the start of, hopefully, a good season of new games, but there's no real telling. Kind of like you said with Starfield coming in, I think that Xbox hopefully is around the turn. Speaking of Xbox, we're actually going to go right into our next one that continues the Xbox conversation going. Xbox Gold is evolving, ending, changing something. We don't really know. Microsoft announced the end of Xbox Live Gold, which will be replaced now by Game Pass Core. This is an evolution of Xbox Live Gold, and it'll take place September 14th of this year. Xbox Live Gold subscribers will automatically transition to Game Pass Core members. The new platform provides access to online console multiplayer and a collection of over 25 games for Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One at a subscription fee of $9.99 per month or $59.99 per year. Games with Gold will end on September 1st. The move comes amid concerns over slowing growth for Game Pass and potential cannibalization of sales. This is a weird news story. If you saw Xbox side of things, they just kind of are like, nothing's changing. And it really isn't. The only thing that is changing is Games with Gold is now gone. And that will be an interesting thing to see how it continues to evolve. And I don't really think it's necessary anymore. It's probably not necessary for PlayStation to do it anymore either, their monthly game cycle, with these new like Game Pass models of libraries of games. I think the downside here is probably, what if you stop subscribing? You no longer have those games that are just in your library kind of perpetually for the future for the subscription fee. So that's an interesting evolution that I think we're seeing, but I think it's just the natural step towards Game Pass becoming the way, shape, and form of Microsoft going forward. Any thoughts here, Sneaky?
Yeah, I mean, I know people have been complaining for a while about, especially the games with gold, just being awful. And I think PlayStation Plus suffers from this every once in a while too. People look at the monthly offerings and they're kind of like, ugh, like there's nothing here. But I heard more grumbling about games with gold and the monthly offering of just being absolutely awful. And so there did seem to already kind of be maybe in the background kind of sort of thing, a push that like, okay, well, if Game Pass is going to become the thing, does games with gold need to continue? Does all that need to continue? And it's kind of weird. I know really nothing is changing here, but in a weird way, I feel like some of my beloved gaming pass has now just changed. I definitely was an Xbox, gold subscriber for a long time. I had the card, I had all of that. And so it kind of feels weird to kind of think that like something that was a major part of my early gaming life has now completely changed and has now gone away. Like I was when this news broke out, I actually went over to Stallion, who, the guy who's really big into Xbox, and he has one of those Xbox Live lifetime cards, and so he was actually taking pictures of it and even saying like, holy cow, this feels like an end of an era kind of a thing. So, I mean, yes, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't change a whole lot. It does seem like it's just encouraging people to push towards this whole library service or to Game Pass, but it does feel weird. It does feel weird.
Yeah, an interesting evolution. I think we'll continue to see Xbox continue to pivot and figure out new things to evolve this model into, because they just continue to lean deeper and deeper into Game Pass. So we'll see how things continue to go. Keeping on the train of Xbox, because seriously, Microsoft cannot stop trending in the news headline. Sneaky, tell us more about this FTC situation.
All right. So as if, yes, this trial, this court case between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard hasn't dragged on long enough. The FTC is actually seeking a postponement for the merger. Both Microsoft and Activision Blizzard have officially postponed the merger deadline to October 18th, 2023. This is in part because originally the UK's Competition Markets and Authority, or the CMA, had denied the merger over in the UK. And so now they're kind of pushing back this deadline in order to try to basically get the UK to get a second look at it. It seems like there are some concerns that the UK had about this merger, that it seems like Microsoft and Activision, and especially now that the United States has approved it, 40 other countries have kind of approved this, and so now they're taking a second look at it. But it gets dicey because the decision follows the basically this failure to meet the initial deadline by July 18th, because it kept getting pushed on. But the reverse termination fee, initially set at $3 billion, has increased to $3.5 billion if the deal is canceled before August 29th. Then it goes up to $4.5 billion before September 15th, which kind of reflects Microsoft's confidence that this deal is actually going to go through. And again, although the CMA initially rejected it, it sounds like that Microsoft and Activision Blizzard are being very optimistic about the approval of this new proposal, despite some new investigation mergers that are coming out. The UK wants to do a little bit more investigating into this, but eventually the $68.7 billion deal was announced in January of 2022, and so far has taken about 18 months to finalize.
I can't believe it was January of 2022.
Right?
It feels like it's been that long, but I just can't believe seeing the actual like words on a page.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
It's wild that this thing has taken this long to get going. And while it feels like it's pretty much a done deal, it does still feel kind of like there are some check boxes that need to be finished off before it's like a completely done deal. So I imagine we're going to probably be hearing about this for another, few months for sure.
The thing that keeps baffling me is this termination fee. It was already set at an absolutely ludicrous number, which granted, this whole thing is a ludicrous number, right? With almost a $70 billion deal. But the fact that they're getting like closer and closer to like a 7% termination fee is just ridiculous. It's already been in the billions of dollars, but the fact that it's going to keep escalating in that billion is just, it's baffling. It is a deal unlike any other deal we've ever seen. And Microsoft's going to be fine. I'm not worried about even if they do have a termination fee. Like they can afford to lose $4.5 billion. But that will be a pretty crazy, no matter what, whether this goes through or doesn't go through, this is going to be a landmark deal, whether it like falls apart and they end up paying that kind of money, or if it stays and they end up paying even more money. This has just been insane. It's been crazy to follow. I'm ready to be done with it and to find out what actually happens. It's a weird world that we're living in. Okay, with that, do let us know in the chat any of your thoughts on the Activision Blizzard deal, but we're going to move into SAG-AFTRA joining the strike alongside the Writers Guild. The Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, has unanimously voted to go on strike after failing to negotiate a new contract with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. The strike was announced by SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher and National Executive Director and Chief Negotiator Duncan Crabtree Ireland, and will have significant implications for Hollywood, grinding all U.S. film and TV production to a halt. The strike coincides with the Writer Guild of America's WGA work stoppage, amplifying their collective bargaining power. The last joint strike occurred in 1960, leading to a stronger residual system. The strike will also affect events like San Diego Comic-Con and the Emmy campaigning season. This is a pretty huge deal. This is a gigantic strike going on. The fact that they are now united as the WGA and SAG-AFTRA is a humongous deal. I'm not like super plugged into the acting scene. I definitely went to school with plenty of people that are actors, but I don't know if I'm with any gilded actors. There's a chance that I am, but I don't know for sure if I know anybody that's officially affiliated. But it has been a really weird thing seeing this kind of also perpetually turn on. Obviously, it's centered mostly around AI, but it's certainly more than that. It's also just in the increasing downspin of a lack of pay and of a lack of support for those living in Hollywood. So I'm intrigued to see how this continues to go forward. I think that what really made the shift is and will affect us nerds will be the Comic-Con season. I don't care about the Emmys. They're going to be fine. But this is a big deal as far as the convention scene and having celebrities come to your conventions. Up until this point, the writers' strike has not really affected celebrity signings. It's not really affected celebrity panels. Any of that stuff has all been pretty standard. But now all of a sudden, it's taken a real shift and will start to affect us normies out there. So it's no longer just affecting the bigwigs and the folks that are causing all of these issues. It's very weird, and it's very weird to now see it officially affecting our day-to-day lives. We already know that TV shows are going to be postponed, and we can deal with that kind of thing, and we can certainly deal with not having Comic-Con celebrity appearances. But it is going to be a weird hit to the kind of nerd economy of things that are happening. And of course, I stand in complete solidarity with equal rights for workers and for, making that a more equitable and just economic thing. But still, it is interesting to still note how things are taking a quick downturn and a quick shift. Any thoughts on this one, Sneaky?
Yeah, it has been wild to read a lot of the stories about. I know AI, as you mentioned, is like probably the biggest concern in terms of how Hollywood studios plan on using it and what that means for actors and things like that. But it'll be interesting, or it was interesting to read stories of things like, and I forget who tweeted it, but it was such a fascinating behind the scenes take on him, the actor talking about like what happens when you're on a TV show for multiple seasons, and how like the studio only gives you a set amount for the life of the show. So if you're on a show that's 5, 6, 7 seasons, like you don't get a per set amount per season. You get one amount at the beginning, and that's it. And so how actors have to, negotiate basically, like, and 'cause you mentioned, he said like so many shows are shot in Canada. And so he said, like, you have to negotiate between like your living place in, wherever you live, and then also the living in a place where you're shooting, and how you've got multiple places to live. You've got all these different things, and then the studio just hands you this lump sum and says, okay, figure it out. So it's been interesting to read more and more behind the scenes about how studios are paying actors, and not your tier one, like your Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise people, they'll be fine. But your B actor, your C-list actors, some of those who, they only get work in bits and pieces. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this affects in the grand scheme of things. And it's a couple of people have mentioned in the chat, like Perspective, saying like, yeah, actors are the influencers, right? So like any projects that are going to be up and coming, and actors not being able to talk about it or not being able to really do a whole lot with that. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these kind of maybe smaller projects in terms of shows, movies, whatnot, how they're going to be impacted by not only being able to come out anytime soon, but also the residual effect of nobody's talking about them. Right. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see, how all of this is going to play out for sure.
I'll be interested to see, like I said, the fallout of Comic-Con. I know Zando said that actors will still be able to attend cons for autographs and photo ops. They just can't promote specific films. I haven't seen that since SAG-AFTRA joined, so maybe that is still the case. I know that was, at least in my local cons, what they were telling people whenever it was just the WGA. So I'll be very intrigued to see if that is still the case now that SAG-AFTRA has joined. I hope that it is. I definitely want them, as I think Cam said, or maybe as David said, that income still comes in through that door, and I think that they should be able to. But I haven't heard that officially since SAG-AFTRA joined fairly recently. But I'll be interested to see how this continues to kind of go forward. I know I saw Mandy Moore posted from This Is Us. She was in This Is Us, which was just a humongous, TV show that swept the nation, and that she collects checks for like 81 cents at this point on Netflix. And so that is seriously just insane, seeing the lack of residual support for actors for shows that are nationwide, that are national acclaim, household fame. That's what we used to call them back in comm school. So this is a weird thing to see, and a weird thing to kind of perpetually experience. You mentioned influencers and how actors are the influencers. What I'm seeing now is a fallout of the influencer culture of social media, who are kind of outing themselves now as being scabs. And so these are people that hop union lines and work in writers' rooms and actors' rooms during a strike. And it's been really weird to just start seeing people pop off on TikTok, not in a good way, because they are just straight up admitting to being scabs, which is a weird thing to just admit to the social media world. But we have this like weird flux of, you have A-list actors, you have B and C-list actors, and then you have these social media influencing actors, and they're just trying to make it. And so they're making really poor decisions in the wake of where everybody's trying to unite towards a joint cause that's going to make everything better for everyone. And they're trying to shoot their shot, which is what they've always done on social media. Not defending them, saying that's very clear why they're doing what they're doing, and I think that it's wrong. So I'm baffled by this whole thing. I think that we are nowhere near seeing the end of it. I am intrigued by H-Man's conversation in there about whether it will affect Barbie and Oppenheimer's release, movie releases from here on out. I think we're entering a weird culture of pop culture and film and media production that I think we'll be remembering for quite a while. But we've talked enough about it, and we are actually about to keep talking about it. So I'm going to send it back over to Sneaky for a continuation, but a quick shift away from the conversation we have been having.
So, probably one of the biggest shows this year, The Last of Us, good old TLOU. Craig Mazin, the creator of the HBO series The Last of Us, remains hopeful that season 2 of the show will release in 2025, despite the ongoing strike by the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild. The strikes have led to a work stoppage on most productions, but Last of Us Season 2 has not yet been directly impacted due to the production schedule's flexibility. However, if the strike continues, Mazin acknowledges that it will inevitably have to push their original start date back. Mazin revealed that he has completed writing the first episode of season 2 before the strikes began and stressed that a significant number of the work has been accomplished on the second season before the strikes paused work on the scripts. So yeah, this is gonna, and again, this is one that I was kind of paying attention to because I saw Mazin announce this and was talking about it, and so yeah, again, it's gonna be really fascinating to see, knowing that they've got work done on it, knowing that now you have this funky balance between now, especially the Screen Actors Guild jumping in on the show. So now, how do you continue with what you can? So like, how do you keep the ball rolling with, you may not have your actors, you may have some of your production team, you may have, maybe some writers who can still, and I mean, I know Mazin does a lot himself. So I think he's kind of got an interesting balance that he's got to figure out in terms of keeping what's going, and then when do you just say, okay, we've reached a point where we literally, we have no writers, we have no actors, we have no nothing, in terms of keeping it going. So, yeah, it's going to be really fascinating. And as Cam just pointed out in the chat too, he says that the fact that they're filming outdoors, limits them to very specific times. And yeah, so what happens if you miss your chance to shoot a very particular scene in a very particular moment that you need, and you almost have to wait a whole nother year to shoot that scene. So like, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see like how are they gonna balance those things in the grand scheme of everything that is happening.
I guess the good news is that unlike season 1, I feel like TLOU 2 kind of, there is definitely an adventure across a space, but for the most part, it's like 2 locations or 3, maximum major like scene set locations. So hopefully that will make things a little bit easier in the sense that they don't literally have to travel to, or at least make areas look like completely different areas for this one. But it's a weird thing. I think that we'll have to remember this as we kind of come out of the strike, assuming that everything ends amicably at some point in the near future. Then we'll have to remember, hey, if season 2 does get delayed, this thing happened. And as nerds, we're standing with solidarity of those that are getting what they deserve now, hopefully, assuming everything gets approved, as I said. And then we'll know more about that and how things are going to perpetually move forward in 2025 or potentially 2026. Despite what Mazin says, I am skeptical. I would go ahead and say this movie's coming out, or this TV show is coming out in 2026. I would not hold your breath.
I would agree.
On time. So we'll see. Agree. We'll see how this continues to go forward. It's a good time to be a gamer, I suppose, because at least we're figuring out our Activision mess in the courts, and we're hopefully taking steps forward. I feel like I'm always hearing about unions being approved and stepping forward in video gaming. So we're making strides, but it is pretty clear that the TV and movie market is in a bit of turmoil. And it's time to take some steps forward, and I hope that this works out in the best possible way for those that are giving their lives to this career. With that, we're going to move into some exciting news instead of all this heavy news. Ms. Marvel is writing Ms. Marvel. Iman Vellani, the actress who plays Ms. Marvel in the MCU, is co-writing a new comic series for the character. She is collaborating with Ms. Marvel TV writer Sabir Pirzada for the series, which will be titled Ms. Marvel: The New Mutant. In this comic, Kamala Khan is revealed as a mutant, and Vellani stated that the upcoming series will uphold Kamala's inhuman origin while exploring new themes of identity. I think this is cool. I like it. I like to see that we have an actor writing and that we have support in this space. So I think this is pretty cool. It really is living the dream, as Cam just said. This is a neat thing to see happening in the Marvel universe, and a neat thing to see that Marvel is supporting their up and coming actors and the next voices of the future. So what do you think, Sneaky?
I absolutely love this. Like, I think for an actor to get the chance to not only tackle a character on a screen, but now to take it to a completely different medium, but to also embrace, you get to embrace that character now in a not a new way, but probably in a new way that an actor, gets to see it. And so being able to take something that she has already kind of owned and crafted into one facet and now getting to take it to another medium and be a part of that and growing that character, like, I just love the fact that she's embracing that, like, this is who she is. Like, this is the, this is the character that she is at this moment. And, and absolutely, as Cam said, and as David Hicks said, just the hope of seeing what she gets to be a part of and what happens with this comic. I think it is so awesome. And I will admit, I didn't hear about this until this came up, but now I will definitely be keeping my eye out for it because I want to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it shows how much she's really embracing this character and embracing that origin story and relating culture to culture and bringing in what she might understand of her culture to Kamala Khan's culture. So I really love that. I love seeing the overlap and the authenticity of having someone write a character that makes sense for them to write. So this is exciting news. With that, we're going to move into the Discord. If you want to submit news to us, these are user submit or viewer submitted news. If you want to submit them, you can go to bit.ly/DearTwig, DEARTWIG, or just use our Discord, !Discord in the chat if you're on Twitch, or the Discord's link down below if you're on YouTube. And be sure to join our Discord, use those spaces, tell us about the exciting news going on. I will draw out some of the ones that I find super interesting or think could apply to the greater community here, and you may be featured on the show. On today's episode, we have two submitted both by Buish. I will handle the first one, Sneaky, although I thought about giving it to you because I figured you really loved this franchise. Neopets, an iconic virtual pet website from the early 2000s, has become independent again for the first time since 2005. The platform had been operating at a loss for the past decade under multiple corporate owners, the most recent being NetDragon. When NetDragon shut down the U.S. edutainment company Jumpstart that held Neopets, the site was saved via a management buyout deal. The reorganized development team, part of a new company called World of Neopia, is led by Dominic Law, who spearheaded the buyout. Despite securing $4 million in funding from crypto companies for a Neopets Metaverse NFT project, the newly independent team is abandoning the NFT game. Instead, they're going to focus on a new mobile game called World of Neopets and improving the original Neopets website. The company assures the existing Neopets Metaverse NFTs will still be supported on the open marketplace, but did not disclose how. So this has been a bit of a whirlwind for Neopets. Sneaky, considering the exact age of this game and where it was at, I'm gonna predict that you were not deep into it, but you could be a secret Neopets fan for all that I know. This is still exciting news.
I know nothing about Neopets.
So it was a
Mayfly, don't throw something at me, please.
It was a fun thing that existed for a little while. I remember Neopets very fondly. I actually bought like Neopets physical merchandise from like the Walmart. I had my own Neopets that were based off of the characters that I had in the game. It was a browser-based world that they had created, and it was super fun for a little while. I remember it very fondly, along with like MapleStory and all those kind of 2000s. Not, MapleStory was an MMO, but very similar like world of things that you talked about at school and that you brought home and did all that stuff. So I really enjoyed Neopets for a while there, and then of course, like everyone else, I dropped out, and some people maybe stayed on. But it was kind of disheartening for me to see them buy into the NFT craze and really like fall for that, and I thought that was a real shame. And then the last I'd heard, they were going to be doing their own NFT thing, and now I'm excited to hear that not only are they not doing it, but that it was actually the person who was in like the head of the NFT thing that was like, nope, we're moving on. We're doing something different. So I highly doubt that I'll be getting into the world of Neopets and into their new website, but I am excited for them and always excited to see a step taken away from crypto and Web3. The further we can go away from that, the happier I will be. But yes, do let us know in the chat. I can see Mayfly is very excited for Neopets and for all the things that are going on there. Webkins were better. No way, H-Man. Get that out of here. All right, I'll let you take the next one, Sneaky.
All right, Threads. Threads, a social media platform created by Meta to compete with Twitter, has experienced a significant drop in active users and engagement time within a week of its launch. According to SimilarWeb, daily active users fell from 49 million to 23.6 million, and the average daily minutes spent on the app dropped from 21 to just over 6. Threads reached 100 million signups shortly after launch due to its integration with Instagram, allowing for easy account creation. Despite its initial success, Threads is lacking several features available on Twitter, such as emojis, hashtags, chronological feed, which could be contributing to the decline in users. Additionally, while Twitter's retention rate is also falling, the process is occurring over a much longer time span. Okay, so I got to admit something. I was one of those people that downloaded Threads, and that's as far as I got. I didn't open it. I didn't put an account in. I didn't do anything. And the reason behind that is because I've kind of been trying to actually back off on social media a lot lately. If you have an iPhone and you get that wonderful, here's how long you've been spending on your phone and here's how long you've been spending on apps on your phone message every week, I was spending way too much time. It's just doom scrolling. And so I've been trying to be very disciplined in backing off on it. And initially I really liked Threads for the very reason that people are probably, bailing on it, which is I like the stripped down simplicity. And I thought, okay, maybe just having something simple, something basic. But then as I went to go open it, I was like, it's just one more thing. It is just one more thing on my phone, one more thing for me to pay attention to. Do I really need to be on this? And when I thought about it, I was like, no, I really don't. And so that's kind of where I landed with Threads. I don't know if I will ever actually end up and doing anything with it unless it, maybe if it becomes more stable, or maybe quite honestly, I'm having more fun watching Twitter do its thing. I love being in the background of Twitter and watching it slowly crash and burn. And I still spend, if I'm on an app, it is mostly Twitter, because I think kind of like you, Nate, you have curated yours in such a way that like you don't get a lot of the drama or any drama. And I've done the same. And so Twitter for me is still a very positive experience. So I don't see myself getting off there anytime soon. So I kind of, so maybe in a background sort of sense, I kind of get why people are kind of bailing on it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing that's happening. And I am a fan of Twitter. I've definitely made that known. While I'm not a fan of their latest practices, I do like the actual model. Like, I really like microblogging. I don't know if it's just my sense of humor or if it's the way that I like to consume content or what it may be, but I enjoy the experience. And so I'm on board with Threads even still. I'm still checking it every single day, posting my daily affirmations on there, trying to come up with content as I always do, and often failing and not accruing too much of an audience on any of my personal platforms. And that's just fine with me. But while I'm still on there, I do think that there's a way to spin this that is negative, and there's a way to spin this that is positive. You're always going to have a lot of buy-on at the very beginning, and it's always going to siphon out. And so I don't think that this is anything to be too alarmed about. I don't think Threads is going anywhere. I don't believe that. I think that it's produced by Meta. They attached it to Instagram. I think this is an example of their confidence. I think it is going to be sticking around for a long, long time. I do not anticipate it dropping anytime soon. They are talking about features. I almost signed up for the beta program to try and test the new things, but I just didn't feel like doing it. So I think that we will not see this going away anytime soon. I also don't think we'll see Twitter going away anytime soon. I don't think it's going to fail either. I think they are both maybe falling, but I don't think either one of them are ever going to close their doors. Maybe, but let's be real, folks. Tumblr is still around. So there's no social media platform that reaches the level of virality of these actually ever dips away. And as far as the time span being 6 minutes, that's probably about what I spend on Threads every single day. I maybe spend 10 minutes on Threads, and I gotta be real, I think that's probably for the best. I think it's good to have a social media app that we don't spend a lot of time doom scrolling on. I go and I hop on for a couple minutes a day, I scroll through some art, I see some cool art, I like some cool art, I post a post, and then I close it, and it's wonderful. So I still see it as an overall positive. I think it's gonna be just fine. I don't think it's anything to worry about. I don't think that any company is gonna be totally ousted by it. I don't think Twitter's gonna die. I don't think Meta is going to die. I don't think Threads is going to die. I think we're going to be just fine. I'll see how it continues to move forward and how it continues to engage users. I think that as far as discoverability, I'm not having any success. So it's not one that I see us using at Checkpoint for any kind of like effective measure of evangelism or reaching out or announcements even. So we'll see. We'll see what Threads continues to do and where Twitter continues to go, and we'll keep our thumb on the pulse here at TWIG. But let us know your experience in the chat. Let us know what you think about this, or if you are on Twitter or got off Twitter, if you are on Threads, or if you got off Threads already, whatever it may be, do let us know your thoughts. I will say I saw H-Man say that you have to delete your Insta account. I think they changed that. I don't think you have to delete your Insta account anymore to delete Threads. I think there is a way to separate them, but it is quite a headache. So, and it may be a long process as well, where you have to like email in and ask them to do it, and then they'll do it. So it's definitely a headache, but I do think they have alleviated that concern. So, as I said, do let us know your thoughts in the comments or in the chat. And we are going to now move into everybody's favorite segment of the show. All right, at this point in nerd history, this is everything that was released on this exact day throughout time and space. So this is July 20th throughout time. Take it away, Sneaky, with what games have been released.
All right, in 2021, Death's Door, by the way, phenomenal game. If you've never played Death's Door,
I love Death's Door.
Do it. In 2020, Cadence of Hyrule. In 2017, Splatoon 2 and Dream Daddy. In 2011, Bastion, another good game. In 1988, Bionic Commando Japan released. And then in 1983, Mario Brothers Arcade debuted in the UK.
Yeah, I thought that was a great list of games. I feel like you can't really get, like, none of them are bad. I love pretty much all of these games for different reasons. Obviously, there's the memeier one of Dream Daddy and the music one of Cadence of Hyrule. And then you got Death's Door, which we played on stream. We have a full VOD of that one, I think, and I absolutely love that game. I know that Zando loves Bionic Commando and the classic Mario Brothers Arcade. I mean, you really can't go wrong. This was just a great day for games, clearly, throughout time. Okay, with that, we're going to move into movies. There was actually only one movie that was released today in time and space that I thought was relevant to bring up, and it's a real good one, depending on your perspective on the Nolan series of Batman. It was The Dark Knight Rises, and released back in 2012 today in history. And do let us know your thoughts on any of those games or movies. That has been At This Point in Nerd History. And with that, we're going to move into our penultimate segment of the show, which is the upcoming releases for the week. What is coming out in the next week of movies, TVs, comics, and video games? Sneaky, take it away with the first three there.
All right, movies this weekend, the big weekend for Barbenheimer. All right, so Barbie and Oppenheimer open this weekend. I'm pretty sure Bleach went and saw Barbie and dropped his review. He loved it.
Yep, an 11 out of 10.
Yeah, 11 out of 10. That's right. He gave it 11 out of 10. So I'm very excited to hear his review on Oppenheimer. All right. Also, the Beanie Bubble. Okay. Random aside. I'm actually I want to watch this.
Oh, for sure.
I am. Yeah. The world of Beanie Babies and getting to now look at that craze in hindsight is going to be really interesting. I'm actually really interested in seeing this. All right. Next week on the 25th, you have Justice League War World and Resident Evil Death Island. For TV release on the 20th, for today, you got Superpowered, the DC story. Also very interested in watching that. And then in comics, you've got on the 26th, Conan the Barbarian and X-Men Hellfire Gala.
Yes, or Gala, a lot of exciting ones there.
Where you live.
Yeah, those are some good series. And the two movies that we're releasing at the very end there, Justice League War World and Resident Evil Death Island, those are two direct-to-video-esque style, Justice League being the latest DC movie, and Resident Evil actually being a CGI 3D Resident Evil looking like with Milla Jovovich. So we'll see how that one does and if it gets any traction there. But two really interesting documentaries there. Or I guess maybe one is a docu-film, like a Beanie Bubble may be acted, I'm not sure. But Superpower definitely sounds like a documentary. And I got some exciting ones there. With that, we'll get into the games coming out in the next week. Starting out with games coming out today, Cross Tales is a new tactical RPG. Ducky's Delivery Service is like a flight sim game, indie game. Homeseek is a new survival game. Can't pronounce this one at all. I'm not going to try. It's the Knights of the Cross. It's a deck build RPG. You can look it up and hopefully find that. And wait, hey, if someone is trying to ride you, are not able to receive raids. I should be able to receive raids. Do they have to follow me first, or do I have to follow them? I do not know, Son of Light. But I would love the raid. You're welcome to raid us, but I have no idea why it wouldn't be working. I have them turned on. We're going to pick up from Lakeburg Legacies, a new management sim coming out. Looks like a Royal-esque ye old management sim. Might and Magic Clash of Heroes Definitive Edition, a puzzle RPG. Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening is a new war sim. It's actually a remake of an old war sim. Punch Club 2 Fast Forward, a new fighting sim. If you didn't play the first Punch Club, you absolutely should. I have a feeling this one is going to be just as good with even more memes. Strategic Mind Fight for Dominance is a strategy game. And Unholy is a new horror game. Coming out tomorrow, we have Brewpub Simulator. That feels fairly straightforward. And then the much anticipated Pikmin 4. Coming up on the 24th, we have Off-Road Mechanic Simulator and Space Cats Tactics, a TRPG about space cats. On the 25th, we have Mr. Run and Jump, a platformer, Remnant 2, a shooter, Supreme Ruler 2030, another sim, and Zhanwan's Sword, Mists Beyond the Mountains, which is an RPG port from China. And then we have 2 DLC that are also dropping this week, or actually both dropping today. Sea of Thieves, The Legend of Monkey Island, which I think is a weird DLC to see in Sea of Thieves, because I have a feeling very few Sea of Thieves players have played Monkey Island, but who could say? And then The Sims 4 Horse Ranch Expansion Pack. If you're still playing The Sims 4, then you can ride horses, I presume, starting today. Any of those thoughts? And then H-Man says a new League of Legends game mode also drops today. I did not get that one. 2v2v2. That sounds fun. What do you think, Sneaky, about any of these games, movies, TVs, comics? What stands out?
I mean, obviously the two big ones, Barbie and Oppenheimer. I'm super excited about the 2 documentaries that look like they're dropping. Game wise, not much there. I truthfully, and I'm not joking when I say this. I know it's going to sound weird, but I am actually excited to watch you play Pikmin 4.
Yeah,
because I know I know you are excited about it, and it's so much fun to watch you when you get excited about games. So I'm hoping you'll stream it at some point so I can watch it. But yes, as Bleach just commented in the chat, Barbie is 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 is very fun. Yeah, and it sounds like Cam is seeing Barbie tonight and Oppenheimer on Saturday. Love to hear it. I'm definitely going to have to get to the theaters to see these at some point. I'm definitely excited about Pikmin 4. That's more than known. But I'm also super curious about Punch Club 2. I enjoyed the first one a whole bunch. I'll probably play the second one. Lakeburg Legacies, I love sim games, and it looks like a pretty fun art style behind that sim. If you like deck building, the one that I can't pronounce sounds like an interesting one for you. It looks like a pretty good deck builder. Unholy, if you like horror games, looks like a pretty fun one with a lot of new components to it. So there are some good games coming out there. I feel like I've heard about Brewpub for a while, and now it's officially hitting the market, so we'll see how that goes. And again, if you like Monkey Island, I'm intrigued by Sea of Thieves adding it into their DLC, even though I'm not sure why they're doing that. Sea of Thieves has been an enigma from the very beginning for me, so I have no clue what they're doing or why they're doing it, but hopefully it works out and is a fun experience for everybody. Okay. With that, we're gonna close the show with the way we always do, which is our meme of the week. So our meme of the week from this past week was brought to us by Buish, and this is the Zoomber meme. So these are the 95 Zoomber. If you were born in 1995, these things should all relate to you. I thought these were very funny, especially as I was born in 94. So there's definitely a lot of overlay here for the things that I experienced, such as the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I didn't have an SP. I had a GBA Classic, but I did always want the SP. I certainly had a PS2. However, mine was definitely the Slim. Loved Beyblades, Ed, Ed, and Eddie, those classic Star Wars lightsaber, plastic ones that shot out telescopically. Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, definitely not my first Pokemon, but some of the most beloved. That weird like ketchup jelly that's at the top left. I have no idea what that is, but it's so familiar. And then Super Smash Brothers Melee. Absolutely love it. It's real fun. And then my back hurts because it does. And I do miss the 90s and early 2000s. And so this is fun. An interesting one. I thought that it was a goofy time that I definitely wanted to share from Buish there. Any thoughts on that meme from you, Sneaky?
Yeah, it was fun because I graduated high school in 96.
Okay.
So to see that list, so like for example, like Oblivion, I can't, now you shrunk it down. I can't say it those. That's okay.
Oh no.
But if it's Oblivion or Morrowind, whatever game,
Yeah,
the Elder Scrolls game, I played the heck out of that one. Jak and Daxter is up there as one of my favorite series. I absolutely love Jak and Daxter. Game I played. And then the PS2 on there, I'm pretty sure I had that cell phone. I'm pretty sure I had that iPod in high school. So all of that, is like, oh, that's a memory lane right there.
Yeah. It's real fun. I love these, and I love that these keep happening. I remember whenever these happened, whenever I was in high school, and people were making these memes of flashback moments. And I love that they're still happening and that we can keep remembering. and loving these pastimes and making fun of ourselves while also walking down memory lane. So thanks for the memes. If you want your meme to be considered on the show, then just be sure to join our Discord, !Discord in the chat, or it'll be linked down below for our YouTube viewers. Join that, use our memes and goofs channel. I tried to take the one that has the most reactions and use that in the upcoming week. With that, this has been the Week in Geek. So before we close out, Sneaky, anywhere you want to send people to find you or to hang out or to get to know you better, anything you want to shout out for us?
First, let me say it was a blast being here. I'm so glad I got the opportunity to do this. And so thank you for allowing me to join you. Appreciate it. But you want to find out more about me, join the Discord. I probably spend most of my time in our Discord. So always hanging out there, listening to tunes by DJ Mayfly and just hanging out and chatting and our question of the day and all of that. So if you're not a part of our Discord, please do. It is probably one of the best parts of my day.
Hardcore agree. Great shout out and appreciate that. Sneaky is definitely one of our most involved in the Discord. You can always find him somewhere here or there. And yes, shout out to DJ Mayfly. We love it. We love the Boombox channel. If you have not jumped in there, you really should. We have a lot of fun in that space. With that, we're going to close out the show. This has been the Week in Geek. This is our weekly news show. If you're in the chat right now, be sure to say bye to all of our YouTube viewers. And we're going to close this out, as we always do, with our 3 things that we believe to be true about every single one of you out there. Number 1, believe that God loves you like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you like really, really love you. And number 3, believe that you, yes, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, join us next week for another wonderful edition of TWIG, Thursday, twitch.tv/checkpointchurch, usually at around 10 a.m. EST. Looking forward to seeing you then, or in all the wonderful things that we do in between now and then. Until next time, bye-bye! Bye-bye! Okay. Somewhere here or there, and yes, shout out to DJ Mayfly. We love it. We love the Boombox channel. If you have not jumped in there, you really should. We have a lot of fun in that space. With that, we're going to close out the show. This has been the Week in Geek. This is our weekly news show. If you're in the chat right now, be sure to say bye to all of our YouTube viewers. And we're going to close this out, as we always do, with our 3 things that we believe to be true about every single one of you out there. Number 1, believe that God loves you like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you like really, really love you. And number 3, believe that you, yes, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, join us next week for another wonderful edition of TWIG, Thursday, twitch.tv/checkpointchurch, usually at around 10 a.m. EST. Looking forward to seeing you then, or in all the wonderful things that we do in between now and then. Until next time, bye-bye! Bye-bye! Okay.